read this?
All right. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you for coming to the July 1st regular board meeting number 799. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. First order of business is our Child Nutrition Program report by Bobby Coleman. Hi, Bobby. Thank you for coming. I know you've had a long night, so thank you.
Well, thank you for allowing me to share all the exciting things, some of the exciting things that are going on in child nutrition and our wonderful partnership with Food for Our Children program. So 1 in 5 food insecure children in Bonner County live in homes that are not eligible for subsidized program assistance, underscoring the role of both the public and private sectors in addressing child food insecurity. So Food for Our Children is a local nonprofit organization, and their mission is to eliminate hunger, childhood hunger in Bonner County. So I want to take a moment to extend a heartfelt thank you to Food for Our Children for the monumental support and the incredible work they do. Through their unwavering dedication and remarkable fundraising efforts locally, they've made a positive impact in the fight against food insecurity. So some of the wonderful things that our district has benefited from through Food for Our Children is the weekend food program. And Food for Our Children has been active for 15 years now, and I've had the pleasure of being able to work with them since they became active. And the weekend food bag program, they average 560 bags every single week to students in our district across all of our schools, families that have signed up to get the weekend food bags. And so that's approximately $100,000 a year that they're paying to supply all of the products in that. And they do these through fundraising efforts within the community, local businesses, and private donations. Mid-morning snack is about $8,188 annually that they supply to our schools as a grant, and they purchase nutrient-dense snacks through the Child Nutrition Department. And these snacks are provided to students that need a little bit of extra nutrition to make it through the school day. And then the meal subsidy program. So this is our second year that we've done this program this specific way. And it's really making an amazing impact in helping to feed the gap with some of these families that do not qualify under the current USDA regulations under their income guidelines, but yet they fall within $20,000 of qualifying. So the Food for Our Children Foundation has committed to bringing those families that fall within that 20,000 guideline to the reduced priced rate of 30 cents for breakfast and 40 cents for lunch, which is amazing. So we had 261 families this year students in our district that qualified, that would not have received any meal subsidies, that were able to receive reduced price meals through the Food for Our Children meal subsidy. So it averages $67,000 to $90,000 a year, and they have fully funded that, and they've just been an amazing support to our community and our district. So it's pretty wonderful. So I'm deeply grateful for my partnership with Food for Our Children. Their contributions to our district, families, and the communities have been truly amazing. Their tireless efforts and unwavering support are an invaluable resource, and they continue to inspire hope and change for those who need it most. So, are there any questions?
No, it's amazing. Well, I didn't have any. I'm not sure if I knew you guys, but amazing program.
That's good.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I did put their webpage there if anyone's interested in learning more about Food for Our Children or how they might become involved and help support their cause and our cause. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I know they'll be in the parade, and if anybody has kids that would like to pull a wagon,
Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks for coming in, even though you had a fire across the street.
Yeah, thanks.
That's dedication, people,
No
right
kidding.
there.
Holy smokes, we got some lucky kids.
No pun intended, holy smokes.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Holy moly is what I meant. To you too, Bobby, to you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bobby.
Next up, we have our CFO, Brian Wallace. Hi, Brian.
Hello. How you
See
doing
how
on this
quick this
nice
is?
cool day? This will be fast.
It's great.
So Chair Williams, trustees, and Dr. Meyer. So the finance report for this month, it is for May because with June just ending, we didn't get everything in with this early board meeting. But not a whole lot to say. You know, as you've seen before, we're tracking pretty close to similar years. If you look at that previous year's comparison, the revenues are received as a percentage to budget, you know, pretty similar last couple of years, a bunch of patterns. Expenditures are right in that same wheelhouse. You know, our year-to-date revenues or expenditures, if you compare to last year, have a little less cash in the bank at this time than we did last year. So, you know, we did plan to maybe cut into some fund balance this year, so it looks like that may happen. But otherwise, at least we're tracking the budget, and you know, there's no big surprises. The charts just again show, you know, where do our dollars go? So those salaries and benefits, and some of the other items are getting close to the top. But expenditures are within budget, and then the revenues on the next, you can see that we received almost all of our state dollars for the year. We'll get one final payment, usually comes later this month, that sort of trues up everything.
Okay.
But it's that's usually a small payment. And of course on the levy, we're getting those, the property tax payments that come in now will be credited back to this year.
Yeah.
So we get those very late in the year, and then our other state revenues and the other local have all been there. The next slide.
Is that, sorry, Brian, that other local, is that interest?
Yeah, most of it is interest.
All right.
And plus we've had a few grants that were budgeted to help that. So for example, the art room project.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
You know, that was we didn't plan on that, we didn't revise the budget, so yeah, it really bumped that up a little, some stuff, things like that. The enrollment, you know, for our final enrollment report for the year, June 9th, was last week of school. You know, we were up 27 kids, so we sort of maintained that the whole year once we did that, and it showed with those extra units that we showed in the budget hearing that we were able to collect. So, you know, enrollment held steady throughout the year, which is really good. And preliminary numbers for next year, you know, we sort of budgeted flat is what we sort of expect, and that's sort of where we are right now. Sort of a lot of it depends on your kindergarten class coming in.
Yeah.
And finally, here is, you know, you had Bobby's good work and sort of positive note, and then you come to me and you bring everybody down. That's right. So there's a couple things that, you know, may happen, and this is very not typical, but we're living in non-typical times even for school district finance.
Yeah.
So state funding, Governor Little had some communication to the state agencies that we're told to internally prepare for a 2%, 4%, or 6% budget held back for this fiscal year. The budget they just approved in April.
Okay.
So what does that mean? If, from the numbers we were given from the State Department, if they went 2%, that would be approximately $55 million holdback for the State Department of Education. This is very preliminary. If they made that cut proportional across all districts, we're like 1% of our enrollment. So that's a guess, so you know, 550,000, 1.65. If they took specific programs, they could use the budget, the state stabilization fund that's there. You know, this is very preliminary, but I think it's good that, you know, Dr. Meyer, you know, we've talked about this, that, you know, you're aware that this could be coming, and this is one of the things we can't control, and is really one of the reasons why having a good, solid, healthy fund balance, that allows us to at least continue programs maybe for that 1 year, and then we can be planful on how we address the impact later as opposed to just trying to put out a fire.
Right.
So anyway, that's at the state level, the good news there. And then this, actually, I had a different sort of bullet a couple days ago when I first did this slide, but we edited it today because this news just came out yesterday or this morning.
Last night, yeah.
Last night. So the Trump administration informed the states that they were going to hold $6.8 billion back. And it was the programs, it was Title II, Title IV, and Title III. We don't really receive any Title III dollars, so I didn't list that. But if they withheld 100% of these dollars, and these are dollars that we just did a grant application for next year. If we lost 100% of them, we're getting about $181,000 next year for Title I.
Is that in a grant?
Or, I'm sorry, it's a federal grant, so Title IIA, but we help cover our instructional coaches through that. We got grants for that, so it's tied to staffing.
All right.
Title IVA, we send those dollars a little bit to Title I for our Title I program and some to Title II for Title II. So anyway, that would, again, instructional coaches are, and Title I always almost 90% staffing. So the impact is really, we're losing people, our funding for people.
Right.
And then Title IVB, that's our CCLC, our after school program that we have at Southside, Farman, and so, and that's $240,000. In fact, they just, Andrew Murray, she and her team, they just rewrote that grant. I mean, it was hours. I can't tell you how intensive that grant was to get it renewed. Not every district gets that grant.
Okay.
It's a hard one to get. We've had it for years. So we just don't, at this point, we don't know whether will there be lawsuits and some of those things go back and all that. So anyway, that's for this year.
Okay.
I've heard that these reductions are in the bill Congress is doing now. So
they're already cooked into that.
it would be cooked in for fiscal year 27. So this would be a year early.
Okay.
So this was certainly unexpected. Of course, we don't know where the courts or where legislation or where this will land.
Yeah.
But it's a possibility.
Well, yeah, thank you for showing it to us. I think that we're going to need to get together because those are, especially like the after school, I mean, those are very important programs. We're going to have to figure out what to do.
Yeah, so that's, we have to look at how we might bridge those gaps or, anyway, it's, sorry, it's not the best news.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I'm here for any questions.
I don't have any more questions. Do you guys?
I just have on the state funding with Governor Little's thing, it's important to remember this is not a sure thing. When would they come out and say, okay, we're going to do it for? I mean, were they going to make us wait?
I think if they did that, it'd be when the governor, when they get their final revenue projection from the state. Right now they're running.
We're way down, right?
Well, they're down like 150 million or rough. So when they get to that point, and then they can better know what the revenues are, then they're going to decide what they have to do to balance the budget if they come to a shortfall. They do have like the stabilization fund, some other things, but it depends on how they want to use that. So it's definitely just sort of up in the air. And next year's budget, it sounded like, he was asking the departments to, they can request, some of them, like, Debbie Critchfield can request where she's an elected official.
Right.
You can not accept any of her recommendations, but did ask them to sort of do more of a maintenance budget that would cover, minimal increases to staffing, medical increases, and hold everything else flat. That's sort of what that was for building next year's budget. So, but of course, we don't know. If we did know, I think it would be probably anywhere between November and January.
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but we've got some stuff to figure out between now and then.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Next up, we have the superintendent report with Dr. Becky Meyer.
Okay, this one is the smallest ever. I told Shannon, who was watching the board meeting, you got a good board meeting to watch because it's the shortest, and the shortest superintendent report last month was pretty long. So of course, we have our strategic plan. And just letting the board know, and I'll share this in the board update, but finalizing the year, we have our summative strategic plan update. So we did our spring, Mr. McLaughlin and I went through and completed it all. And we're going to have a new format for next year. We're going to really focus on the things that we haven't done yet. So I'll share that with the board in the board update. But you can look and see where we ended the year on our deliverables. And so that's available for folks to see. And CTEC's getting ready to move. So they have, today they have this off, and the one at LPO is also off that's moving behind the driver's ed building. So it's moving forward, and they have the fence along, and it says CTEC, Future Home of CTEC. So it's getting just one step at a time.
Awesome, cool.
As you know, the board knows that we had a tragedy with a student death. So I'm just giving you, letting you know that how this fits into supporting our community and our students. After, I was going to tell Jalen was helping last night, and last week I went to the one, and there was over 50 students that came to the first night, which was Wednesday night, of having a grief just available and support. There were several therapists from the community, some mental health counselors, some youth pastors, and school counselors. So there's about over 50 that were there. So we did another one last night. I was going to ask Jalen, he was going to help last night, but I'm not sure how many students went last night. But something that came up was really how do we help support parents? So creating a way for us to partner with parents and help support student well-being, which is in your strategic plan. So pairing those together, we decided, again, I need to ask the think tank, because those are the ones that helped design what our Student Safety Summit was this year with the anxious generation and looking at that for our students and supporting the getting off of electronics. I think they'll be in support of it, but it was an idea that came up to really look next year on trying to focus to help support parents in our community. So I'll give you more about that later as it unfolds, but that was something that came out of this recent tragedy. So hopefully to help support other folks moving forward. On a lighter note, the community connection with Rotary, and there with CHAFE, every student graduates a reader. You saw how great that data was that we shared with you at the end of the year. It's pretty amazing. But I do want to thank the staff that helped. A lot goes into it by the Rotary, Mel, Dick, and all of his folks that run everything. The volunteer was Catherine Larson. But Dr. Joy Jansen helped at the City Beach to get that all organized and people registered. Casey McLaughlin had his daughter Liberty and her son, her husband Sam, and his wife, no, not your wife.
We had Ellen Wassef and Joe.
Oh yeah, Ellen Wassef is the assistant principal at Farm and Sidwell, and her husband Joe, who's a mental health therapist who also helped us Monday.
Mr. Mack.
And Mr. Mack, Casey Mack from Clarkport. I told Casey I'd probably gonna forget, so you're just gonna look at you and you say the names. And then we had Lisa McElroy, who is our literacy lead. She had JD, her husband, and then another CSO, Derek Hagstrom, and his wife Michelle. They did a stop.
That
and
was
then,
probably a super fun one.
I bet you, I don't want to say, I bet you it was fun, and they were at a competition, so I'm not sure, but because she said hers was more fun. But then also, my husband and I did hearing for the stop for the 4th year in a row.
Oh, nice.
We did the hearing rest stop, so yes, so we had a lot of LPOSD help behind the scenes to have a great ride. And there's quite a bit of quotes. If you saw that the riders say, everyone that saw it, like, this is the best supported ride. Like the volunteers and the stops are really nice. Like poor Casey was up all night baking goods. They told him to bring homemade baked goods. He's like, what? I am not baking.
No.
Get them at Yolks and take off.
Yeah, exactly. Take the sticker off.
These are homemade too.
Yeah. Just put them on a platter. They're homemade. So anyway, I don't know the total amount yet, but we're hoping that it's good, that it's going to help the Every Student Graduates reader. So that was successful. And then, of course, our community connection with our loop. This is the Sagal staff, and they're all lined up waving goodbye on the last day. So we do a last day of school loop and do an update on the graduations, and I give like a send-off message to the families on the last day of school. We send it off on the last day that next Monday. So that, and if anyone wants to see in the public any prior loops, they're all linked in to where it says the loop. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
I do.
Whoops. And you know, as the center of everything we do is our student graduate in the middle. Our focus this year is on your one thing. What's your focus? Every student, every day. Reminding the board that we are tracking these for you as your 3 goals: 1 trusted adult, graduation rate, and your student achievement, which you saw. Mr. McLaughlin will do a fall baseline again when we come back. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Are you doing the actual? Are you doing the actual ride this year? Are you gonna ride your bike?
No.
Oh.
That was a quick answer.
You didn't have to think hard about that
No.
one.
No. I hike that mountain, but I'm not going to do the bike because I do not want to sit on a bike that long.
I do it every year with my checkbook.
Yes, your checkbook, good idea.
That's the way to do it.
I do it with the Karen rest stop.
That's the best way to ride a bike, right?
Way more comfortable.
Although we did have Melanie, you know, she is the PTR. She does the reading intervention at San Juan High School. She's our one staff person that, oh no, Darren did it too.
Darren did
So we
it.
had 2 staff people this year.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Darren did the whole thing. He did the big one.
Jeez.
Yeah. Oh boy, I would have got in trouble if I didn't say that. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Meyer. No public comment today. And next, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Next, we are on to action items. First order of business here is Resolution 26-00, and this is for trustee elections. And I will defer to Kelly for some
As
dates
you-
and info.
As you can see in the board packet, there's 3 trustee seats open come the November election. Every document that you possibly need if you wish to run is on voteidaho.com or .gov, sorry, so voteidaho.gov. The window to file is August 18th through 29th to me at the district office after you have your signatures certified at the county.
Okay.
That's
That's all she wrote.
That's all that is about.
I would entertain a motion for approval of that resolution.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 26-00 calling for trustee elections.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Next, we are on to alternate authorization renewal for Kendall Lang. Entertain a motion to that, or for that.
I move to approve the renewal of an alternate authorization for Kendall Lang.
Second.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion on this? Any questions or anything? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. And then next we have alternate authorization renewal for Danielle Healy DeBellis at Cooney Elementary School. I will entertain a motion for that renewal.
I make a motion to approve the renewal of an alternate authorization for Danielle Bellis.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? Questions? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Next, we are on to second reading of policy, and first up, we have 1400 board staff communications. This one's pretty straightforward, just have this strike throughs
And then talking with me.
and.
And then just talking with me is the only
Yeah.
thing we really have to put in there.
Yes, we can talk to you.
At the boss first.
Do we have any questions or anything on this? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt revisions to policy 1400 for staff communications.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Next, we have the deletion of 2398, response to intervention. Pretty straightforward one here. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to delete policy 2398, response to intervention.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next up, we have 3320, substance and alcohol abuse. Any further questions on this one since first reading? Okay. It's just an update and revision, so I will entertain a motion for 3320.
I'll make a motion to adopt the revisions to policy 3320, substance and alcohol abuse.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to non-action items, we have first reading of policy, and tonight we've got procedure 2700. And this is on graduation requirements. Oh, it's because it's working.
I'll bring it up a different way.
Mine just right here.
Yeah, mine, it was slow,
I
but
got it here.
it came up.
I'd like Casey, Mr. McLaughlin,
Yeah.
to go through this because there's quite a few changes from the state.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just give kind of a synopsis of why there's some changes. There's some general changes from the state, but we also have some changes because of our changing schedule.
Okay.
Right, we have that changing schedule from the AB block at Sanborn High School to the 6-period day. So that constitutes some changes in the credit requirements because there's not as many credits that students can take. So you'll notice what's in yellow there is changed. So it used to be that U.S. history, and actually this, because we haven't updated this occurred this past year. We were doing this in practice. But that is now at 2 credits instead of 4. American government and civics, that's just, some of these things are tweaked in the bottom, but that is a little bit, the test is changing a little bit. Fine arts and world languages, that is just a change of name from humanities. Economics is now economics and personal finance, which is worked into that course. Digital literacy is now a required course. We're tiering that in, so students that are, like my daughter's a junior, she's not required, but the students who are currently, I believe it's going into their sophomore year, are going to be required.
Will be required.
Which is, we tried to get them to do it for the incoming freshmen, because it just would have made it clean. We kind of petitioned that, but they kind of ignored us, so.
Okay.
Casey, can you give me an example of digital literacy? What would, like?
It's a great question, Dave, because we just got the standards.
Okay.
So the standards just came out, and I'm happy to share that with you,
Okay.
the standards. I can't go through them because I haven't read them thoroughly enough because they just got sent.
The overall urging is responsible digital citizenship.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's where she came up when Superintendent Critchfield said that's the reason that she wanted it in there.
And there's a lot, well, anyway, I can share those standards.
I just wanted to know like, what the baseline is,
Yeah.
you know?
That's the overarching why.
Okay.
From email etiquette to cyberbullying and the whole 9 yards. I mean, it covers it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The right and wrongs of.
And then
Exactly.
teaching young kids that once they
media.
post something, it never goes away.
Yeah.
So they think that, oh, it's Snapchat, it goes away. Like, to teach kids like the reality of
Okay,
things.
gotcha. That's good.
Future Readiness Project, that is our senior project.
Okay.
And I think it's best encapsulated by what you see what Clark Fork's been doing, and I know you're all familiar with what Clark Fork's been doing, and that's probably encapsulates what they're actually going for the most. And so it's been a change of name to try to encapsulate some of those, the emphasis, the new emphasis. So the state has changed that name from senior project to that. What's that?
So obviously, there's no credits applied to it. It's just you have to do this project. type of
It
thing,
is
right?
it is a graduation requirement.
Pass fail type of
Yes.
thing.
I see.
Okay.
So then, core required classes, you can see that Sanborn High School with the change of schedule, That has changed just minimally. What we did is we went ahead and made it the same across the board. And so it made sense. And of course, given that there are some changes with digital literacy and some different things coming in, right, this is where every student now is required at 32 credits across the board. Elective credits, you can see, are 14, and then the total credits are 46 all the way across. So, and this, because we are changing from that block schedule, that A and B block, to the 6-period day, you'll notice we're tiering that. So the students who are currently juniors will have more credits that are required of them at Sandpoint High School than the students that are incoming freshmen. And just because they've had the opportunity for more credits, so that credit system is tiered on that way. So in the next 3 years, we'll work through that. All of this in yellow is just some further explanation, a lot of what I've already covered. Really what math requirement allows engineering courses, they just wanted to show exactly and be very specific on that. And computer science courses that are aligned to state standards to be counted as math courses or as math credit. Computer science or engineering courses may not be counted as in 2 areas. Right? They're basically saying if you're going to count them as math, count them as math. If you're going to count them as science, count them as science.
Yeah, okay.
But not both. Kids can't get both credits for that. So you'll notice the 4 of the 6 credits required in science are from at least 2 of the 4 content areas. And in addition, an additional 2 credits can include instruction in applied sciences. So that's more of your type of your electives. And really that's what we do now, is we say, okay, students, you're going to need to take physical sciences, you're going to need to take chemistry, something along those lines, and then you can choose from there.
Yep.
So, health and wellness, we can move on past that. It's pretty simple. It's just
change it.
Just change that from class period to training. You don't actually have to take a full class period in that. And then future readiness project, which we've talked about. And then there's just a couple changes at the very end. And just allows, this is the state is showing that there's some credit flexibility for learning opportunities. And so what they're really saying is that things that are like internships in different ways, there are different ways that we can meet course requirements, and that allows us to be more creative. Some of the things that we were doing at Clarkport this last year, right, in the last few years, which were perfectly allowable, they're just putting into making that officially allowable. So, and then this is just content standards to apply for core academic credits. So under this privilege, CTE courses or work-based learning opportunities that meet our standards in Idaho can be considered for academic credit. Okay, the department will support LEAs in developing crosswalks and templates to assist in awarding credit for learning opportunities in ways that meet course requirements for high school graduation. You see kind of a theme, right? They're allowing for students to take a little bit outside of the box approach and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to approach this with maybe an independent study, and it's a CTE course I'm going to integrate my math into, or my science into, or my ELA into. So there's more opportunities to do that. There were opportunities before. This is just making it more efficient. So
The word is crosswalks. Is that like an industry term? And I know this is just a procedural policy, but what does that really say? You know,
So it's saying that we are showing that this standard is going to be covered. So let's say they're doing an independent credit study, and they're doing it from LPO, and they go over to DAW Air, and they're working with DAW Air, and they're building an airplane. And so that independent credit, maybe they're getting it in math.
Okay.
And so they need to show we're meeting this state standard that's coming from Algebra 2, and it's being applied in this context over here in DAW Air or at Kodiak. And they're applying that this is how I'm meeting the state standard. That would be, we have to show, or we're required or responsible to show that, hey, we are meeting these state standards even though this is a different context.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure like those terms are defined. Because what are we signing up
True.
for? You know, is it saying, hey, we're going to help you do this, or you've got to do this?
Yeah, the onus was really on the school to create.
Okay.
If we are creating that type of independent study,
Yeah.
that we're making sure that that's crosswalks, that students are still required, what the state's saying is, you're still responsible to get the standards that we are putting out there.
Right.
For these courses.
Okay.
And the last one is just localized pathways. And we are required now, every school district in the state is required to show that we are offering additional pathways aside from just a singular pathway of going on to college. That it could be a military pathway like we do with JROTC now.
Yeah.
Or it could be something that is, into the trades with the
Work-based.
CTE.
Yeah.
Work-based, so.
All right.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin.
You're
Do
welcome.
you guys have any questions for Casey?
Very good.
All right,
Okay, thanks.
appreciate it. All right, do we have any administrative announcements? We really have a whole lot of folks here.
Is it just me?
Yeah. Floor's yours, Casey.
I think we're good.
Give us your
I think
best.
we're pretty good. Pretty good month so far.
Pretty good month so
Yeah,
far.
we're nailing it. All right, well, with that, meeting adjourned. Thank you.